Homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Monk Liao Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dukden Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of Homa today, the Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Buddha, the Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Sutra, and Mahamayuri Vidyarajni retinue. Sumo, Tanzan Gyatso Tutan City, all Dhamma masters, Dhamma educators, Dhamma teachers, Dhamma instructors, Dhamma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good afternoon, everyone. How do you do?
I still Shalai Hola amigo Te quiero mucho Skoin Ichiban Chimoji Jumi Yapi Pirin Konnichiwa.
I would like to announce for next Sunday, September 18th at 3 p.m. There will be Mahabala Homa fire offering ceremony. Mahabala is True Buddha School's Mahabala has contract with True Buddha School to support True Buddha School. And you can see his image, his appearance is this deity here. And his mudra is the wrathful mudra for both hands. So subjugation or wrathful mudra for both hands. And the mantra.
Om Mahaparaya Swaha. Om Mahaparaya Hum Pei. Om Mahaparaya Swaha. Om Mahaparaya Hum Pei.
Mahaparaya Soha Om Mahaparaya Hum Pei. This deity has many transformations. The Vajra pole or staff belongs to Padma Kumara. And his celestial duster belongs to Golden Mother. And he's also the envoy with great power of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. And his yidam is Amitabha Buddha. It's Amitabha Buddha's emanation, transformation. So He has many transformations: Golden Mother, Amitabha Buddha, Padma Kumara, Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. The combination of all those.
这一尊好像在藏历里面
In Tibetan Tantayana, someone has transmitted this deity, the Mahabala,
很有权威，
the Heruka with great power.
很有 power，
He has tremendous power.
那关系到我们生活中的这
And
生活中的
he's a great protector of true Buddha school.
很多人这个护法都用大力金刚啊，用大力金刚。
Many people have Mahabala as their protectors.
真孔雀明王啊，
And Mahamayuri,
孔雀明王经是释迦牟尼佛所讲。
was came from the Mahamayuri Vimalakirti Sutra spoken by Sakyamuni Buddha.
当中，也
Sakyamuni Buddha, one of Sakyamuni Buddha's past lives was a peacock king.
他在畜生道的时候，
Mahamayuri means great peacock king. When he was in the animal realm, Sakyamuni Buddha was once a peacock,
是大日如来
peacock king.
观。
So Mahamayuri wears the crown of Vairocana Buddha.
另外呢，
And
阿弥陀如来在《阿弥陀经》里面
in the Amitabha Sutra,
是孔雀，
a transformation body of Amitabha Buddha is a
变化
peacock.
多的这个鸟，出和牙医，
He emanated many
三
birds
七道品。
with marvelous sound
这一尊
to entice people to practice the 37 enlightening factors.
阿弥陀佛，
So the Mahamayuri is a combination of Vairocana Buddha, Amitabha Buddha,
是这个
and the Peacock King. So that's why he's referred, or she's,
象征
or he or she is referred to as the
释迦牟尼佛
Great
受
Peacock
用
King Buddha, or Mahamayuri Buddha
世
Rajni.
当中有一世曾经当孔雀王，
So Mahamayuri is
孔雀呢
a functional body of Sakyamuni Buddha because one of his life was a peacock king.
有共命之鸟，有孔
And
雀，
in the Amitabha Sutra, there was a peacock, kalavinkas,
雀就是变化生。
and other birds. And the peacock was an emanation of Amitabha Buddha
的相貌，
and Vairocana Buddha.
相貌
So the look of Mahamayuri is the look of Vairocana Buddha. And Mahamayuri is wearing the crown of Vairocana Buddha. So therefore, he's an equal body of Vairocana Buddha, and transformation body, and the functional body of Sakyamuni Buddha. So he's a union of three Buddhas: Amitabha, Vairocana, and Sakyamuni Buddhas.
COVID-19
So if you got COVID-19 and registered for the primary supplicants,
不只是报名主席，
uh,
得主的
or merit holders,
啊，你不会中 COVID-19。
you will not get COVID-19.
那么中了以后呢，
if you got it,
也就是马上就会好。
or even if you get infected, you will recover right away.
它最特别的地方就是说，
And the most special part about
习斋
this deity is that it includes purification, enrichment, subjugation, and magnetization.
啊，就
Because one of
是降服。
the hands holding a peacock feather to subjugate, one hand is holding a white lotus for purification, and then one hand is holding the yellow auspicious fruit for enrichment and the red fruit for magnetization, love and respect.
它另外，孔雀，
And
我们听说孔雀它只要吃
we heard that when a peacock
它的羽毛
eats
就会更加光，
slight or a little bit of poison, then
有这种现象。
their feathers would become even more brilliant and radiant.
孔雀明王是经，是释迦牟尼佛讲的。
So
后
the Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Sutra was spoken by Sakyamuni Buddha because Sakyamuni Buddha's disciple was bitten by a poisonous snake.
来帮助那位
So Sakyamuni Buddha utilized Mahamayuri to help his disciple,
灾害
so that disciple was spared from death.
受灾。
This was recorded in the Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Sutra.
那我们今天做护摩呢，希望
By performing the Homa today, we hope
人都可以排毒。
that we can detoxify, all of us, each of us can detoxify,
这不只是身上的，
not only from the bodies,
心灵上的，
but also from the minds. So physically and mentally, all poisons and toxins can be eliminated. 我们讲一个笑话吧。 Let me share a joke.
男女朋友或者是夫妻，
A couple or boyfriend girlfriend after they separated,
我以前呢就叫现任，
before they separated, they're called the present
那婚
the present
又复合，
spouse. And then after they separated, they're called ex. And then if you got back together, what would you call
连
them?
任啊，连任。
You call them re-elected.
这个好像是华盛顿 DC 登堡雷藏寺
So the Tengpao temple from
就叫连任。
Maryland, the master there is called Master Lian Ren.
这个笑话以前我好像讲过。
I think I've told this joke before.
先生开车，太太坐在旁边。
The husband is driving and the wife is sitting next to him.
太太跟老夫讲，
And the wife told the husband, Honey,
还记得前一
do you remember before we got married,
每一次遇到红
we
灯
would play
停下来的时候，你就会亲我
this game that you would kiss me every time we stop at the red light.
到红灯。这位 朋友就亲那个女朋友一下，他们约束好的。
So they had this game that the man would kiss the woman when they stop at the red light, and the husband replied, "Sure, I remember."
那我们现在
And the wife said, "Let's play that again now."
老公说好啊。
And the husband said, "Sure." But he drives on the highway.
没得吻。
No more kiss.
结婚前跟结婚后。
So before and after marriage is different.
所以有很多事情过气。
That's why many things in the past, in the present, and in the future
这个时间上
depend on time. On
还是会变化。
there still changes. There's nothing that stays the same all the time.
都有变化。
So in terms of space and time, anything, everything will change.
也都有变化。 昨天我们过中秋节。
Yesterday we celebrated the Mid-Autumn Festival, and there's this joke. When you were 10, in celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival, you could not listen to the story of Chang'e, the Chinese goddess of the moon. All you think about is the mooncake. At 20, when you celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival, you cannot eat the mooncake, and you keep thinking about Chang'e, the goddess. And after the 30s, you don't eat the mooncakes anymore, and you don't think about the goddess. And you start thinking about the rabbit that the goddess owns. Do you want it barbecued, or sauce braised, or with 3 cups of condiment? So, like I said, in terms of the space and time, spatial and time dimension, there is a change to everything. Time changes, space changes. It's always different. In Buddhism, we say that it's ever changing. Now we'll get on to the main topic. Question from Honey in Singapore.
师尊你好，请问为什么会有国界？
Okay, Master. May I ask you why there are different realms, such as the realms of the Bodhisattvahood, of the heavenly, of the human realms, and all this other, and why the incarnation exists? Why are there realms of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heavens, and other realms, and why does reincarnation exist?
这就是我们所讲的这些境界，都是变化出来。
So we say that all these realms are manifested,
transformed
So depending on your own causes and conditions, all kinds of realms manifest for you.
像你修的最高的这个佛界，
If you practice the highest realm of Buddhahood,
漏尽，
then you need to
你才能够
completely you need to have a complete outflow of everything in order to reach the realm of Buddhahood.
也就是告诉你，
When you reach the realm of Bodhisattvahood, is to teach you to benefit others, to benefit sentient beings.
行谢菩萨行，
And you perform all the actions of bodhisattvas
天界
in order to have the bodhisattva realm.
得到的福报，
And the heavenly realm is when you do all the
你就可以到天界。
goodness, and by attaining the merit and blessings, you can go to the heavens.
阿修罗境界，
Simply said, why is there a realm of the Asura? Because they have the merit
诚信
of the heavens, and they can go to heavens, but they still have strong anger and aggression. So that's why it would be Asura realm for them.
而起作用，这跟维摩诘
So it manifests due to the causes and conditions. This is related to what we will talk about in the Vimalakirti Sutra.
就是因为
The Vimalakirti Sutra also states
形成这些佛界
that the changes
身为
in the causes and conditions would manifest the realms of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heavens, humans,
恶鬼
asuras, hells, hungry ghosts, animals.
这个形成，就是因为因缘所生，
They all manifest due to the
原因
causes and conditions.
境界。轮回呢，表示
Reincarnation or transmigration, and generally speaking, the six rebirth realms are the heavens, human, asura, hell, hungry ghosts, and animal realms.
轮回，好像你一
These realms are
你轮回到哪，
in transmigration, amidst the transmigration. So depending on your causes and condition, you would be reincarnated in which realm. That's the typical explanation.
这个回答，新加坡，他
That's my answer to Henry from Singapore.
佛他有10个称号，
The Buddha has 10 epithets,
在念
and we often recite
10个称号，
them.
你这10个称号全部都具足，
If you are
才
endowed with all these 10 epithets,
像那个
then you would be, only then you would be called a Buddha.
出世间解，
Like understanding the worldly or beyond worldly, the master adjuster,
如来
the teacher of humans and heavens, devas, heavenly beings, and Buddhas, Tathagata, Buddha, Tathagata, and more.
为主利益众生，
And bodhisattvas primarily to benefit others.
觉
And the highest, greatest bodhisattvas would be Buddha in waiting, very close to being a Buddha,
本身也就是解脱，
almost identical to a Buddha.
天界
And a Buddha is also the enlightened or awakened one. So if you do all good deeds, then you can go to heavens to enjoy your blessings. That's the heavenly realms. And for the 6 rebirth realms are divided into greed, anger, delusion. If you have a strong anger and aggression, you would go to the Asura realm. If you're ignorant and deluded, then that would be the animal realm. If you're evil and do evil deeds, then there would be hells and hungry ghosts. And if have good, have bad, that would be the human realm. That's the answer to his question. If someone share their mooncake to a friend, that's friendship. If they give you the whole mooncake, what is that? The answer, because the mooncake tastes bad. Wish you a happy mooncake festival. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. So sharing half is a friendship, but if giving you the whole mooncake, the mooncake must taste bad. Today we will talk about the Vimalakirti Sutra. They knew full well the coming and going of sentient beings, their motives, minds, and actions. They knew full well the coming and going of sentient beings, their motives, minds, and actions. So the great Bodhisattvas know the behavior and conduct of sentient beings, their motives, their interest, what they like, and what they think in their minds, what they want to do. All of this are known to the great Bodhisattvas. So what it means here, as a great Bodhisattva, you understand all of the behavior of sentient beings and the minds and thoughts of the sentient beings. As a bodhisattva, they understand really well the behavior of each person and what they think in their mind. So a great bodhisattva should be able to do that. So this phrase, this statement is very simple. This should be simple because every one of us has our past lives, present life, and future lives. And now, the present represents the past. The present also represents the future. So, looking at a person, say, for a great bodhisattva with good knowledge would know, by looking at a person, would know about their past and their future. So a great bodhisattva has this ability because they are to help sentient beings. If they don't understand sentient beings, it would be impossible to help them. Because they understand sentient beings and they know about their thoughts, their mindsets, and their behavior, so they can teach and transform sentient beings using this method. So the general explanation is this, that the great bodhisattva knows about the cause and effect of the three lifetimes, past, present, and future. And they know the future too. Let me give an example. Is Lin Rui Qin here? She's right there. Last time I had mentioned about her husband, Dharma brother Huang, and their relationship was very good. When Dharma brother Huang in Taiwan got really sick and left the world soon afterward, and because of his love, he was still roaming in the Sahawa. So because he was still very much in love, I delivered him with 1,000 Dharma vessels. And because I called upon him, he came, but he did not want to get on board, not get on the bed, on the ship. He didn't want to get on board. Sometimes I mix between bed and boat. So he did not want to get on the Dharma vessel. He wanted to stay in samsara to accompany his wife. And I have told him many times, you have to get on board. But he was very reluctant. He didn't want to go. Because he still had love in his heart. And finally, I could get him on board. And he left. And afterwards, his Dharma sister received a sign like Dharma brother Huang came back to tell her that I will not be able to be on your side all the time. I need to go. I want to go to heavens. So he cannot stay around. So he did not appear in the Dharma sister's dreams anymore. And she also hasn't felt him around anymore. And he also said at that time, except if Grandmaster Lu approves me to come. Was that right? He needed Grandmaster Lu's permission to come to her side. So I know what he's thinking. He's not thinking about Sukhavati or the heavens. Because he was still strongly in love with his wife. He did not bear to leave his wife alone in this Saha world. So he had such a feeling. So as a great Bodhisattva, you need to understand the mind or the heart of sentient beings, what they think, what they want. And he said that he needs Grandmaster Lu's permission to come to samsara. This is called they knew full well the coming and going of sentient beings, their motives, thoughts, minds, and behaviors. Because the great Bodhisattvas understand their behaviors and actions and their minds and mindsets, so they're able to guide the sentient beings to walk toward the heavenly realms, toward the Pure Lands, to walk on the spiritual cultivation path. Otherwise, if a great Bodhisattva does not understand the sentient beings, then it would be extremely difficult. And there is a lady from Hong Kong that came to Seattle and told Grandmaster, Grandmaster, I'm here. So I asked her, where are you from? Hong Kong. The Grandmaster gave her the passport, like her name is Lianhua Yongsi. Is she here? She's right there. She has many spiritual responses. I have told everyone at the Seattle Lijiang Temple that when I close my eyes, half awake and half drowsy, someone gave me a piece of paper and wanted me to sign it, and then I signed it, right? Do you remember? I mentioned that. And I did say that that piece of paper was a pass, was the travel pass. So after signing the travel pass, is the one that it's hers. So she came to Seattle. So that's a spiritual response. I've talked about it before she got here. Someone gave me a piece of paper for me to sign, and I asked, what is this for? And she said, a travel pass. And I signed it. And that's her travel pass or the visa to come to America. And as she passed the immigration, and the immigration officer was Grandmaster Lu. And with her travel pass of Sung Yen Lu, she could pass. It's also a spiritual response. How did you come? By carrying Sung Yen Lu travel pass. So even seated at this Dharma throne, I'm still working, taking care of things. Last night, when I performed the thousands of Dharma vessels Bardo deliverance, I also did a lot of things. I signed papers and granted requests. You need to understand people's behaviors and their heart minds. Then it would be easier for a great bodhisattva to help and deliver sentient beings. Like Tantrayana is more appropriate for sentient beings. Like in Mahayana Buddhism, there is no such thing as wealth deity practices. They would say, what about money or wealth? That's poisonous snakes. Don't touch them. It would increase your greed. And Vimalakirti says, a great bodhisattva will give you what you want, what you need. So in Tantric Buddhism, we have wealth deity practices, so that when you practice them, by practicing them, you also acquaint yourself with the Tantric practice procedures. Although you practice the wealth deity practices to gain wealth, but in your practice, you gradually familiarize yourself with Tantric practices or sadhanas. And once you gain spiritual responses, you would progress. So Vimalakirti states that you use the desire to entice you and then guide you onto the Buddhist path. So you entice them using the desire, by fulfilling the desire of sentient beings, and then gradually guide them onto the Buddhist path. So for those who desire money, they have wealth deity practices. And those who love fame and name, you can practice Mahabala. Then you can gain power and authority. By practicing Mahabala, you would become more famous, more popular. If you want to become a high official or whatever you want to do, he has great power to increase your power and authority. If you love sex, so wealth, sex, and fame are something that's most ordinary people have. But if you cling to money, sex, and fame, then you can go to hell. However, if they're enticed by fulfilling their desire first before transforming them into the Buddhist path, onto the Buddhist path. That's why we have the consort practice for those who love sex, because you also practice Buddhism in doing the practice. Most people or Mahayana Buddhists would say consort practice is definitely evil. How could spiritual cultivators ever do such things? Even non-spiritual cultivators also love sex, right? Not just spiritual practitioners. Whether they practice spirituality or not, they all love sex. Some people get married and they have to do the thing. That's also a consort practice, right? But you transform it into a Dharma practice or Buddhist practice, then it becomes a Buddha Dharma. Because man and woman in this world, when they're in union, that's all consort practice. Wedding nights, honeymoons, they're all consort practice, right? If you stay in this bedroom and he stays or she stays in another bedroom, then how can that be a wedding night? But it's very. So how can you get married and stay in separate bedrooms? No, it doesn't happen on wedding nights, but usually it happens later on. In the beginning, you're so attached to each other, like glued together. That's human nature. You cannot say that loving sex is wrong, but you can transform it into a Dharma practice. Do you know what's in a consort practice? There's a boundary protection. So teaching you how to do the boundary protection. There's mantra recitation, chanting mantra. So that's teaching you the mantra recitation. There's qi. So taking in the qi, swallowing saliva. So the Dharma practice for taking in the qi, swallowing saliva, and then meditation. How can there be meditation in the consort practice? Yes. When you are focused, that's meditation. So there are all cultivation methods in there. Also mudra. That's the techniques. That's the mudras, the boundary protection, mantra recitation, meditation, many different Dharma practices in it. And practicing the qi, the inner tantric practices also included. For the qi channels and light drops, that's the circulation of qi and qi. And then opening up the channels during such time. During such and then with the light drops above and light drops below, you also practice the non-leakage. And when the light drops descend, you need to retract it. That's the non-leaking Dharma practice. So there are many principles in the consort practice or dual body practice. And that's part of human nature, which includes greed, anger, and delusion. Like the Heruka practice is to cultivate using your greed and anger, or the anger part of the human nature, to practice the Heruka practices. And utilizing the greed of human nature to practice wealth, deity, and utilizing the ignorance of human nature to transform it into great wisdom. Those are methods in Tantric Buddhism, and those can only be done by great bodhisattvas. Like Grandmaster is non-leaking in his body from long ago. I've been non-leaking since long ago. Actually, loving sex is a human nature. People criticize consort practice of Tantric Buddhism. How can they practice such a thing? I think that even for ordinary lay Buddhists, they are not ordained. But actually, they are also practicing it, although they are not practicing dual body, but not dual body practice. Why do we call it a practice? Because like what was taught by the gurus, how to visualize, how to form the mudras, how to chant the mantra, how to meditate, how to open the channels and practice the chi and light drops, how to ascend and descend, how to circulate the chi, how to open the channels. So today, the great bodhisattvas know full well the coming and going of sentient beings, their motives, their thoughts, their hearts, their minds, their actions, their behaviors, because they comprehend the cause and effect of past, present, and future. A great bodhisattva has this ability. By taking a look at a person, he would immediately know where his future life would be. By taking a look at a person, a great bodhisattva would know about his past or present or future, because they are marks on your body. They would know everything. So other people would explain this statement as all the great bodhisattvas know about sentient beings, what they like, what they do, and what they think in their minds. That's the end of their explanations. But Grandmaster's explanation is different. That in the heart mind of sentient beings, they have greed, anger, and delusion, and how to transform them into precepts, meditation, and wisdom. And that's what the great bodhisattvas do. To transform greed. They don't know that in the consort practice, there's meditation, there's wisdom, there's also abiding by the precepts. If you practice until you reach non-leakage in the body, before you're taught the consort practice,
练习身无漏，
or how to practice the non-leakage of the body. The great Bodhisattva can teach that too.
那其中呢，像财神法，
And then, like the world deity practices, Heruka practices, dual body practices only exist in Tantrayana.
所有的
That's why Vimalakirti states that all the great bodhisattvas
事情，
fully comprehend
其他们心里
sentient beings, what they do, what they like, what they think. That's the meaning of this statement.
所以我们讲 U but U but U， 既然人的心是贪嗔痴，
You are what you,
引导他的贪嗔痴，
because they have greed, anger, and delusion in the minds of sentient beings. You use those to guide them,
先以意
to entice them, and then guide them onto the Buddhist path.
昨天晚上半夜3点，手机响，
Last night at 3 a.m., the phone rang, and the friend said,
东西被偷，
"Oh, some things inside my car was stolen."
回答，那你先报警，
And then he said, "Why don't you report it to the
是
police?"
什么值钱的玩意？
And the friend said, "Well, they may not be valuable,
就被拆，
but the steering wheel,
回下吧。
the gas pedal, the brake pedal were all stolen. Why don't you come and get me?"
我什么都偷，
And I was thinking, how come thieves nowadays steal those things? So
手机
I changed and was about to leave the house, and the phone rang again, and the friend said,
过来，
"Oh, no need to come.
我刚刚喝酒喝得太多，
I was drinking too much, and I sat on the passenger seat."
你像喝酒也是人的习性啊。另外呢，
So drinking is also human nature,
还有赌博，
and also smoking, gambling.
哎，
It's difficult to change those.
看手机，
And one more nowadays is playing cell phones.
引导多少人，
You're obsessed by it.
变成了
So many people are obsessed by that.
就关在自己房
And
里，
people become isolationist. And they lock themselves in their rooms, and they don't eat, they don't sleep, they just play with the cell phones.
都很多东西都是很迷人的。
So lots of things are very addictive, and you need to know about that person and find a way to save them.
连手机都迷，
They're addicted to the cell phone.
手机为什么会迷人？
I don't know why. It's so addictive because I don't have a cell phone. I don't have cell phone with me.
连手机我都不会动，
I never touch a smartphone.
免得被迷掉。
It's better that I don't know it and I don't learn it rather than being addicted to it.
哎，这个讲
Should I
一个年轻的美女，她就挺身上身。
a young, beautiful lady was wearing a very tight skirt and short skirt, and it's too tight. was trying to get on the public bus, and she could not. So she secretly unbuttoned 2 buttons behind her, and still she could not get on the bus. And then someone behind her unbuttoned one of her buttons, and she slapped him. And what a pervert, why are you unbuttoning my skirt? And he said, hey, I didn't say anything when you unbuttoned my pants, and now I'm unbuttoning only one of your buttons, and you slapped me. So she made a mistake. So human beings in this lifetime has to get married at least once. You know why? Otherwise, you would never know how good it is to live alone.
这个丈夫呢打电话给妻子
The husband called the wife.
应酬无后无马
I have to socialize tonight and can't go home to eat. And the daughter asked mom,
不喜欢去
what does it mean to socialize?
又不得不
And mom said it's because it's an obligation. He doesn't really like it, but he has to do it.
女儿上学
So the next morning, before school, the daughter said, I want to socialize, mom.
不喜欢去就不得
That you have to go even when you don't like it.
人一样的善变
The weather is like woman, ever changing, and the weather forecaster is like the man. It's undeniable.
这个会议上师讲过
Master Huichi has told us
要学会游泳
you have to learn to
因
swim
为这个社会
because in this society it's so easy that people drag you into the water.
我们来等一下
Om Mani Padme Hum.